Reach, receive, disciple, and send. This is the mission of Christ Church United Methodist, and this is our growing series as Growing in Disciples. We're going to be looking at growing in faith as a journey. Today we're going to look at the story of Elijah. Now, for many people that have read the New Testament, they talk about Elijah a lot because Elijah was one of the greatest prophets of God the Israelites had ever seen. He did incredible feats that no other prophet was able to replicate until the time of Jesus. However, there's a moment in Elijah's story where he is deeply depressed, he is afraid, and he is in hiding. And it is from this moment that we see him grow in faith in a new way, a way I wanted to share with all of you, in a way I have experienced. And this is what that story is. The Lord said, "Go out and stand at the mountain before the Lord." And so the Lord is passing by. A very strong wind tore through the mountains and broke apart the stones before the Lord. But the Lord wasn't in the wind. Then after the wind there was an earthquake, but the Lord wasn't in the earthquake. After the earthquake there was a fire, but the Lord wasn't in the fire. And after the fire there was a sound, thin and quiet. When Elijah heard it, he wrapped his face in his coat. He went out and stood at the cave's entrance. A voice came to him and said, "Why are you here, Elijah?" And Elijah said, "I've been very passionate for God, the Lord of heavenly forces, because the Israelites have abandoned you. They have torn down your altars and they have murdered your people with the sword, and I'm the only one left. And now they want to take my life too." And the Lord said, "Go back through the desert, and there you will find help." Specifically, he talks about a king that will help him, but also a young boy. Not really a boy, rather a young man. And a man named Elisha. And you see, what has happened is Elijah has realized he can't do it alone. The most powerful prophet of God alive, the one that's done miracle after miracle, even with God's help, he feels weak and weary. He can't do it alone. And so God says, you don't have to. Not just I am here. There are other brothers and sisters of God, children of Christ, that can help you. And so he points him to a young man named Elisha, who Elijah goes, takes as a student or a disciple himself, teaches year after year, knowing that one day his partner in ministry will now become the next leader. And then that disciple will take on more students, and they won't have to do it alone either. As we look to our own lives, I have realized I'm just in a long line of people that have been serving God. Behind me is a quilt that was made to me by a previous church of mine named McHenry. I have another one from Hoy's. And the story of that church started hundreds of years before I was even born. And I am inheriting the ministry handed down to me. Just as there was someone that came after me at these churches. And they are continuing the ministry because it's not just my work. The story and love of God is just not about what I can do. It's about all of us coming together, serving together as a community of faith, hope, and love. And so I encourage you to go and do that. Go not alone. Go with friends. Go with colleagues. Go with students, or go with your teacher. Whoever is with you on this journey, whoever God has brought into your life, go with them. And if you haven't yet, if you haven't found those colleagues, those partners in ministry, no matter your age, I encourage you to look for them. God is pointing them out to you. And so, together, you will do more than you can imagine. For even Christ says, Jesus says, that those who come after him will do even greater things than he did. Because together, all of us can be a body of Christ, not just for a small piece of land, but for the whole world. And so, pray, work, serve, and continue to grow. God bless.